How good was State of Origin?
Holy.
First and foremost, like great victory to the Queenslanders, but how good was that game of footy?
It had everything. It had literally everything. Honestly, it reminded me of a 1980s classic Origin match.
It was just
Incredible.
time warp.
Yep, absolutely.
The first 3 minutes, like just the way those players attacked that game of football and literally attacked each other. It was that went back in time. That went back 42 years back to that first State of Origin match.
Absolutely. Honestly, I can't personally remember seeing a match with as much aggression, not just from a couple of blokes that you're enforcer or there to do a job. Every bloke on both sides was refusing to take a backward step.
Yep.
Incredible stuff. So let's get into it, Smithy. You know, how are you feeling, mate? How are you feeling? The assistant coach.
I'm feeling good,
mate.
I'm feeling good, as all Queenslanders are this morning. So congratulations to all the Queenslanders out there listening and all the Queensland supporters. It's good. Like it feels good when your team wins a State of Origin match, but to win a series under the conditions that the Queensland team were in, 2 players go down with COVID in the middle of the preparation for Game 3, and one of those guys being a key man in Cam Munster. The team's written off from that point. You get a young man come in, Tom Dearden, who's a rookie. Question marks over whether he should be there. And they just go out and play the way they did. That was one of the finest games that I can remember of any Queensland Origin team.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know
amazing.
if you think that, mate, but like you watch a lot of footy, but sitting there watching it from a vantage point that I had last night, I was just watching it, just going, these guys are playing as good as any team that I've seen in recent memory.
Absolutely agree, mate. Honestly, for Dearden, I mean, the crazy thing is, and how especially from a Queensland's perspective at the very least, is that you have multiple huge stories whether it's Corey Oates coming back in his first run, he does what he's there to do. Yep. Tommy Dearden getting thrown in at 6 in a decider. Last year, he couldn't even get a contract from the Broncos.
Yeah.
Now he's sitting in the top 4 in an Origin decider. Then you've got Kalen Ponga, the young king that was supposed to come onto the stage and absolutely kill it, taking him a few years longer than expected, but then he comes out in the decider.
Man of the match.
And he shows all the potential that we knew Kalen had.
Yep.
Then you've got DCE. It was his moment. He needed to lead the boys around because he didn't have Munster there. Not that he hasn't done it before,
no.
But I think that's easily DCE's best Origin game.
Yeah, it was, mate. And there were so many performances like it. You even say Dane Gagai, outstanding. Josh Papali'i.
Yes.
A few comments made about his series so far in the first 2 games and how he's been quiet and, should he still be there? I think last night proved that he is still the leader of that Queensland forward pack. He went out there. He was a man on a mission, and I could see it in his eye. I could see it in his eye all week with the preparation that he had. He had this quiet calmness about him that I hadn't seen in the first 2 games.
Okay.
That he knew exactly what he needed to bring to that game last night. And I was so happy for him because of the questions around him and guys like Kalen Ponga, DCE, Dane Gagai, the same. Question marks were over their performances in the first 2 matches and should they still be there. I was just really happy for him. And then guys like Kirk Capewell has to play in the centres for nearly the entire match when we lose Selwyn Cobbo. Jeremiah Nanai plays another enormous match. Like, he was so good.
His attack was incredible.
He was so good.
The first half, we were struggling.
Had spiders on him.
It was amazing. His offloads, the confidence. Some of his offloads, like in his his second game starting. Oh no, his first game starting.
First game, yeah.
In a decider, it was amazing. And look, obviously as Queenslanders, we're extremely happy. And look, New South Wales fans, it's going to be a tough day, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And also you're going to be looking for reasons for why he didn't win. But I've got to say, the defence that they showed in that second half on their line was absolutely amazing.
Well, can be like credit where credit's due. And, any lesser team, Queensland would have put so many points on the opposition. But it shows that they're a good football side. They're a very good football side. And why they've won, 3 of the last 4? New South Wales?
Yeah.
And they were under immense pressure, particularly in the second half, but they kept turning Queensland away.
Mm.
They had multiple, repeat sets against them. They looked like they almost come up with a huge play when Cleary went for that short dropout or the dropout along the ground to find touch, and then somehow Val Holmes comes up with one of the greatest Origin plays in history,
but
he did in game one.
Exactly.
Like he did in game one.
Exactly.
Like he did in game one. He come up with just that big play that made the difference. They hung in there. And it was just through the sheer amount of ball that Queensland had, and again, a freakish play by Ben Hunt at the end to score that last try of the match that secured victory for Queensland. It was on a knife's edge for a long period of time there.
Yep.
And all they needed was one of those big plays to go New South Wales' way, and maybe the result would be different. So that's why I said off the top, look, very happy for the result for Queensland. All Queenslanders are extremely proud of their team today, but as disappointed as you are to be a New South Wales supporter with the result, you need to be proud of your team's efforts. It was a great game of football.
Yeah. Oh, and the fact that they were even in the game in the last 10 minutes, I would love to see a stat on how many times they were actually even tackled in our 20, in the Queensland's 20.
I'd be very few.
It would be very, very few. Whereas the amount of times Queensland were tackled in New South Wales 20 would be astronomical. It'd be probably more than the first game.
Well, mate, I reckon it was a complete opposite of game two, where New South Wales pretty much played the entire match down Queensland's end.
Yeah.
So that was the opposite last night. But as I said, for a team to be in the position they were in for the majority of that game and to hold on for as long as they did, it shows they're a good football side. They got quality players. But last night it went the way for Queensland. Yeah. Fortunately, as a Queenslander, fortunately.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. I think, again, as a New South Wales fan, in game two, Queensland got put in that same position and New South Wales managed to put quite a score on them. So it shows you how hard it is when you lose a field position like that. For New South Wales to still be in it, I personally think, as I said, New South Wales fans, it's going to be a tough, couple of days or whatever. But they did not lose for lack of trying. They hung in till the death. They had every reason to pack her in. We're at Suncorp. We haven't won a series decider in 2005. They had every reason, and yet they just hung in. And you're totally right. If a ball bounces, if Benny Hunt drops that ball or it goes over his head and Cleary lands it, all of a sudden we're having a totally different conversation, and it was their defence that put him in that situation to do that.
It was, mate. Yep. And again, Origin is built on moments. That's all they are.
Yeah.
They're a combination of moments that get put together, and if your team can come up with more moments than the opposition, then you've got a really good chance of coming out on top on the scoreboard. So it went Queensland's way last night, but it was such a great game of football. I just remember sitting there just thinking, how are these players still moving? Like the last 10 minutes, I'm like, how are these players still going?
Yeah.
They have just bashed each other
Mate.
for 70 minutes.
Yeah.
It's one of the fastest games of football that's been played this season, and we know how fast the game is currently, and they're still going.
Yeah.
It's just I couldn't believe what I was watching.
I would never say this out loud if there was a New South Wales fan around, but honestly, the first 20 minutes, after the first 40 minutes, I was genuinely sitting there going, like, even if we lose, I will be still so proud of Queensland because of the effort that I couldn't believe the effort the boys were putting in. But let's take all the way back, Smithy.
Okay.
Let's take all the way back.
Right.
So your boy Munster and Taulagi, they go down.
Yes.
Smithy, were your hair falling out? Were you going, oh no, the mad dog and Taulagi's gone?
Oh, mate.
What was it like in camp?
Well, I can't afford to have more hair fall out, so I'm hanging on.
Growing the skullet. Aren't we going the skullet?
We're going the skullet. Look, mate, it was, I'll tell you what, that sort of 20-hour window when we first learned of Cameron and Murray testing positive to COVID was it was a hectic 20 hours because I think when it went from Munster, so we lose a key player, if not our best player. We all know what Cameron Munster's about, and we've seen in game one his performance and what he can bring to the footy side. Then not long after he tests positive, Murray goes down. So we've got two all of a sudden.
Mm.
And Murray Tuolangi was, he come in to the side, played in game 2, and was a huge part of, the build-up and the preparation and the plans for game 3. So he goes down, and all of a sudden, your mind starts wandering, thinking, wow, how far has this thing spread?
Mm.
Like,
And you start to these ones.
You start thinking like worst case scenario. What happens if another 2 or 3 go down? What then?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? And obviously we start thinking, does the game get called off?
Yeah.
Do they postpone it? If say we get 6,
Yeah.
what happens?
Because it could just happen like that.
Do
It
they
really
say?
could.
Yeah, do they say, hey, nah, you need to field a team and we're going ahead. So we're thinking worst case scenarios. But with Munster being out and Murray being out, it was pretty clear cut who was coming in. Tom Dearden, Billy, to his credit, I remember having a conversation with him at the beginning of game 2, and he said to me that if anything was to happen to the halves, he would have had no hesitation to bring Tom Dearden in straight away.
Wow.
And he didn't say, he'd start him.
Yeah.
He would just come straight into the side, whether it be, off the bench or starting like he did last night, because, we got Honey starting at 9 and we could easily move him to the halves and Tom Dearden on the bench and Harry started hooker. But, and then obviously Corey Oates. Corey Oates was involved with the team in game 2.
The big horse.
It's so good to have him back, big Corey. And, mate, he played so good.
Mate,
good.
The first run, just going, you know what, this is why I'm being selected.
Just straight into, he just went straight into the Blues defence and caught Cam Murray flush on the chin. And unfortunately, that was the end of Cam Murray's night. We hope he's doing well today. But that was the mood. We're all in a little bit of shock. So we find out that they test positive. Every single person in the squad, staff included, were notified and sent straight to our room straight away.
Oh, really?
So it was like isolation again.
Wow.
We're back in ISO. So we're back in our rooms. We're actually meant to have a team dinner that night. That got cancelled. So we had to sit in our rooms, wait for our meals to be delivered. There was a knock on the door.
Really?
We had to walk outside. The meal was just sitting outside.
Wow.
waiting. So we had to do that until the following morning. Rat tests were provided to everyone, and we had to do multiple rat tests that afternoon, overnight, and then in the morning. And so at 8 a.m., I think it was the next day, if we return negative rat tests, we're able to then leave our rooms. And
Billy's been a pretty cool character.
Yeah.
In this 48 hours or 20 hours, was he getting a bit stressed out?
A little bit.
My
So I copped a few text messages and a few phone calls during that period. But the great thing about Bill, and he was this way as a player, but also he's now taken that into his coaching role too. Is that when things get tossed up in front of him and things don't go to plan, okay, it is what it is. He deals with it and then just gets on with it. It's okay, this has happened. There's nothing we can do about it. Let's worry about what we can control and move on. So at first he's like, oh, mate, Munster gone. It's not great. Murray, he's tested positive. Mate, that's 2. This isn't ideal.
Yeah.
Then from there, next morning, everyone's negative. We're ready to go. He's like, mate, Tom Dearden, you're in. Corey Oates, you're in. Let's get on with it, boys. Let's start preparing for this one.
Yeah. So did he have to say to the group of boys, I don't want to hear anything more about it, or you all just kind of knew?
Well, I think they knew. And they're the group of players that are like that, and they've got that similar mentality. Like, hey, let's just get on with it. We can't sit here and sulk.
Yeah. And
think about, geez, I wish Cam Munster and Murray were playing, but that was the message to the group. The next opportunity we had as a group to sit down together, it was just like, hey boys, it is what it is, and we're all aware of what's happened in the last 2 years and the conditions that we live in as a group of people involved in rugby league. Can't help it, boys. We can't do anything about it. Let's just move on. Hey, don't want to talk about it. The boys are gone. They won't be playing. Hey, Tom Dearden will be playing. Corey Oates will be playing. and they're going to do a great job.
And so when was the decision that you became aware that Dearden absolutely could starting at 6? Because me personally, I would have had Dearden. This is why I'm not an Origin coach. I would have had Dearden at 14 and Benny Hunt at 6 because I was too scared, Smithy. I was too scared. I'm sorry, Tommy. I didn't back you. I'm apologise, mate.
So you were a little bit concerned about the young fella starting?
Just the first 20.
Yep.
I was worried about that first 20 minutes.
Yep.
So that was my bad. No,
understandable. And mate, I can completely understand why you would be.
And so when did Billy kind of let you guys know, you know what, Dearden's starting?
About a half hour before kickoff.
No way. You got me.
Yeah, what, mate? I tell you what, he put Tommy in there, and he said as much during the week when he was doing his media, and as everyone did when we did media opportunities, was that hey, Tommy Dearden got a lot of time to prepare in the halves, and Bill was contemplating starting him there. He was contemplating starting Ben Hunt at 6 and maybe Tom Dearden off the bench. It was very late in the week, and I think he was still thinking game day, what he was doing there. But I think in the back of the mind, he always sort of thought the best thing to do would be to start Tom, which he eventually did, and said, hey, look, he plays there every week, and he's playing well for the Cowboys. Like, give the young man some confidence and say, hey, mate, you're our man.
Yeah.
Go do it. Because if he sits on the bench, right, you don't know when he's going to get involved. You don't know when he'll get a look at or a chance to get on the field. And what's that do to a young man sitting there going, right, I don't know where I'm going to go on. I don't know what time I'm going to go on. I don't know what the scenario will be when I'm on the field. At least if you throw him out there and say, hey, mate, you're starting the game, he knows, right, I'm there from the get-go. It's 0-0. I've got to get my job on straight away.
And I tell you what, if he had been on the bench last night's game, it probably would have been pretty daunting. Because he would have been going, oh my God, when you're out there, it doesn't feel as bad.
Yeah,
you know
mate,
what I mean?
Sitting on the sideline watching that chaos
he would have been like, oh my God.
Unfold.
What am I walking into?
Yeah. And then also, if that would have happened too, it would have mucked about with the rotation with Ben Hunt and Harry Grant. Harry, if Honey would have went to 6, Harry would have started, and then that changed a combination that has worked so well for the team over the first 2 games.
Yeah.
I know the result, blew out in the second game, but still, I felt as though Ben Hunt starting, Harry Grant off the bench still worked quite well. And again, when Harry come on, he was dangerous last night. So, it was a great decision by Bill to start Tom Dearden, and just threw him the 6 jersey and said, mate, get out there and just do what you do. And he played extremely well. There's something about that number 6 maroon jersey. Hey,
mate.
Like good things happen.
I know.
Think about Munster's? Yeah. Think about Munster's debut, Game 3 in 2017.
Yep.
Played the house down.
The great Lockie,
mate. And
Wally.
The great man, the king.
Yep,
Wally.
the king.
And then Tommy Dearden last night. It's just something about that number 6 jersey.
We've all got big raps on Tommy, but did you see that coming? Like, literally, the first chance he had down his edge, he gets a try assist.
Mate, this, probably people are like, oh, mate, you're joking because, it happened and it's easy to say, but I think we all did.
Really?
Yeah, we all did.
It was just seeing him in camp that gave you that confidence?
The strength of his and the reason why he was brought into that squad. You remember, he was involved in every game.
Yep.
So he's been around those players. He's been around the team. He knows exactly how the team's prepared and the game plans and whatnot. The strength that Tom has is, number one, he's a super competitor. He's a great defender for a small man. Like you've seen some of the tackles that he put on last night, just unbelievable. But when he's got the ball, he's great at organising. He's great at organising and just managing his area of that left side.
Okay.
And then you throw in the combination that he had with Val Holmes, where he picked that quickish play the ball where New South Wales weren't quite set at mark, and he went down that left-hand side. Val Holmes just ran a lovely hole for him, and he just hit him on the chest, and it was great to see.
Now, we are going to head to the break. After the break, we will be talking all things New South Wales, plus we'll be reviewing the game minute by minute. It's an incredible game to review. There's so much that went on. There's so much to talk about, guys. Text in 0457 736 736. Smithy, I'll let you know on something. I accidentally put my personal phone number on my Instagram post. So I'm getting all these messages to my personal phone number. That's how rattled I am.
After this show, you're going straight to...
Change my phone.
Yes.
Anyway, we'll see you after the break. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Make sure to call in 1300 01 1170 or text us 0457 736 736. We got some texts here, Smithy. We got thousands of texts here.
We've got a lot.
Mate,
Wow.
Hey boys, New South Wales born and bred and bleed blue. Just to watch the game last night as a rugby league fan is something to be proud of. The better team won and New South Wales just didn't take advantage of the ball. Yeah, look, mate, it's hard for me to say because as a Queenslander, if I say that, there's maybe some New South Welshmen being like, mate, you're only just saying that because you won. But I truly, truly believe that was an incredible game of rugby league. And I would be devastated if Queensland lost, but that still would not stop me from going, that is why I watch rugby league. I couldn't ask for anything more in a decider.
Oh, exactly, mate. And it's a great comment. And it's what we spoke about off the top, saying, Queensland got the victory. All Queenslanders are happy today, but take nothing away from New South Wales. Like, that was such a good game of football.
Yeah.
Like, and again, like we talk about in recent memory, can you think of a better game, particularly the way it started? Like, the first 10 minutes was just ridiculous.
Chaos.
Ridiculous. Mate,
It was
it's
chaos.
the best way to describe it, chaos. It was just crazy. We got another text here. Hey, Goat and Beak. I thought Benny Hunt would have got the Wally Lewis medal. What are your thoughts on that? Taking nothing away from Paddy Carrigan, though. He was outstanding.
Mate, I thought I actually had Kalen as my
Oh, really?
just pipping Paddy.
Yep.
But then I checked the stats.
Yep.
And Paddy had the most tackles of any player and also ran for the most metres of any starting forward.
Across the series?
Across game 3.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So
okay.
game 2, I thought he was probably our best off the bench. Game 1, he was probably our best.
Yep.
I thought
outside of Munster.
outside of Munster.
Yep.
And then game 2, it was a toss-up between him and Kalen, I thought really good. And then game 3, Kalen. But, I mean, honestly, you could have given it to Valentine Holmes.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
For big plays or big
100%.
moments.
Absolutely.
Yeah, mate, he was so good. Like, and just critical moments that Val Holmes come up with.
Yeah.
In the 2 victories.
Yep.
Like, you take those moments out. And there's plenty across the 80 minutes. Like, you could, if you went through it with a fine-tooth comb, like, you'd pick out many more. But the ones that stick out, like Val Holmes was involved in so many.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, I actually thought Paddy Carrigan. So you look at game 1, Munster was he was a cut above everyone on the field.
Yeah.
But then next in line, I thought Paddy Carrigan off the bench. Remember, he come off the bench
Amazing.
in game 2 and
Yeah.
just played the house down.
Yep.
Him and Lindsay Collins
Yes.
off the bench were just enormous. Then we go to game 2. Queensland, well below their best, but I thought Paddy Carrigan was our best player.
Easily.
He made big meters. He made a lot of tackles, just did a lot of work, a lot of hard work, like a lot of other players in that side, but I thought he was a standout. And then game 3, a lot of big game players stood up. DCE, we've mentioned them already. DCE, Kalen Ponga, all played really well. But Paddy Carrigan, he got out there. He got through all the work that you just mentioned, like most meters by a starter, most tackles by a starter. So I think across the series, I think it's a great selection. But I tell you, mate, and I said this to Josh Hannay, okay, the Maroons assistant coach. I said to him after the match, and like we were just talking about both sides and players from both teams. I thought James Tedesco last night he was so good. He was so good. Like, it was just a wonderful performance by a captain. And I would not have been disappointed or shocked or surprised if he would have got player of the series.
Yeah. Look,
because he put in a huge effort in game 1. He was, if Nathan Cleary doesn't come up with the game that he come up with in game 2 with, a few try assists, he scored 2 himself.
Yeah.
Didn't miss a goal. He's 8 from 8. If he didn't play the way he did, like James Tedesco's the player of the game over there. And then he wasn't far from being the best on field last night too. So he had an enormous series.
Yeah.
James Tedesco.
No, I totally agree. Tedesco, for me, I was sitting there last night when the game finished. For me personally, he cemented himself as a top 5 all-time fullback. Yeah. After seeing that series, Even when the chips are down, when his team is losing, he continues to put up incredible performances. I agree with you too. If he had a one player of the series, I would have not pushed back against that at all. We're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to talk all things New South Wales. Plus, we're going to give you a game breakdown. Now, Smithy, let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the game.
The Blues.
Now, the Blues are, both teams came out and they were absolutely going it was chaos, as we spoke about earlier. Mm-hmm. But I actually thought that outside of obviously Dearden's incredible first try assist, I actually thought New South Wales probably won that first half battle because they managed to, I guess, withstand the storm.
Yep.
Statistically, their intensity was higher. I thought Nathan Cleary did a really good job in kicking game outside of one 7-tackle set. In his first half, his kicking game was really good. Mm-hmm. What was the message going out to the boys? Not before the game. Were you aware of? Yes, we're going to front load a lot of energy.
Yes,
but we need to, I guess, once we lose that initial energy burst, we need to continue to keeping those standards.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what happened, Kempy, was that Queensland started so well and they were on top early. And I know there was a few stoppages with the HIAs and the injuries and whatnot. But, I think Queensland looked the stronger side early. Until New South Wales started to get a fair share of footy. And what they were doing was they were starting to break down the middle forwards of Queensland. And largely due to some really strong carries from some of their outside backs, particularly Tedesco. Like he had this real knack. Well, he always does. Yeah. But last night he just knew when to inject himself. When Queensland markers weren't quite set. When he knew one of his teammates had just poked their nose through and they're going to get a slightly quicker play the ball than what they usually would, and they were away. And you've seen in a few of those sets in the back half of the first 40 minutes where they started rolling downfield. They were getting a lot of momentum. As I said, Tedesco was in there. Some of their outside backs were getting in there with their quick feet in around the big men. And then that's when Luai and Cleary went to work. And they picked up a couple of tries. It was just very fortunate for Queensland that they come up with a try to Kurt Capewell right on the stroke of halftime.
Oh,
and I know Val Holmes misses the kick, and they stay down by 2 points. But that really just, I think it took a little bit of air out of New South Wales. I think it just sort of deflated them. Like if they go into the sheds at 12-6, you're feeling a lot more confident about your first 40 minutes.
Absolutely.
But they jagged that try, Queensland, from a Harry Grant little pirouette. Puts the kick through, deflected.
Was that planned?
Deflected off.
Have you been teaching blokes pirouettes?
No.
Was that the Smitty pirouette?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Actually, that was a play that Billy come up with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just showed. He had a look and said, "Hey, boys, have a look at this. I think it might work."
Wow.
And it worked.
And it nailed it.
It wasn't executed quite to plan because it took a deflection off some legs of some New South Wales players, but it took a really fortunate deflection for Queensland, and Kurt Capewell was able to get there and score. But that's where New South Wales were heading, and some of the work that Api Coruscant was doing too.
Yeah, he was slick around.
He just started to work himself into the game, and that's when Queensland were getting on the back foot, and that was a lead up to Saifidi's try.
Yeah,
where he was getting out, holding up markers, sending runners in behind our play the ball. They were playing the ball quick. We were losing momentum, and that's when he got the opportunity to put Saifidi in a one-on-one situation right on the try line, and he was too strong. Yeah. Just on Saifidi. What about his first carry of the game?
Oh, my God. Mate, he's a big mobile unit. And it's really a tough one because New South Wales fans, they're going to be critical. But at the same time, outside of Junior Paulo's and Saifidi's one error, they were absolutely phenomenal. They were phenomenal going forward. Like the amount of high-quality runs that Saifidi had. Every time Paulo had the ball, he bent the line.
Yep.
So, again, there were a lot of great performances in the New South Wales side. It was just crucial errors at crucial times in crucial parts of the field because first half, it was actually a 5-2 error count. Queensland had made 5 errors, but it was a second half where, the errors started to pile up for New South Wales.
Yeah, and that was through a bit of pressure. And and what we spoke about earlier about they were playing majority of that game in their own half. So they were doing heavy work with with their yardage carries and then defending in their own half as well. So the game's always harder in your own half,
Yeah.
whether you've got the ball or whether you're defending,
Mm.
because the opposition are always on the attack.
Mm.
And there was a couple of moments there where I think pressure got to those players, like Stephen Crichton when he's
The
carrying the
offload.
ball off his line.
Mm.
He's starting to get driven back and he looks for the offload. He throws it back in goal, repeats that for Queensland. Those type of things.
Yeah.
You just don't see that in normal games when they're not in those situations where they're feeling pressure and they feel like they have to come up with a huge play to get their team out of that situation.
Yeah, well, I mean, usually it's Penrith putting on the pressure.
That's right.
Usually they're the ones with the line speed,
That's right.
dominating teams. So, you know, it was absolutely, I mean, I couldn't believe the fitness too of some of the players. I would love to get some kind of measurement of how much energy was, you know what I mean?
Exerted, yeah.
I can't remember a game where for 80 minutes the pace was that high.
The intensity.
I just cannot.
Yeah. Well, it was well above, like, and we were doing some tracking stuff with Channel 9, like, it was well above NRL intensity.
Yeah.
Like an average NRL game, like well above it.
Actually, I want to give you a crazy unsung hero stat. Jake Trbojevic in that game made 43 tackles and didn't miss a single one.
Oh,
Jake
Jakey.
Trbojevic, I mean,
How
what
good is
a
Jakey?
performance. So, and he was playing for 64 minutes
Yep.
in the front row.
Yep.
Amazing
Mate,
stuff.
there was big performances on both sides, and there had to be because, you know, Cam Murray goes down in the first set of the game, so they play with 16 men. Queensland played with 15. It's just, and at that level, like if you ask an NRL side to play with a man down or two men down for nearly an entire match, like it's hard going. It's hard going, and then you throw them in that cauldron, that as we spoke about, the intensity of that match, and say, hey boys, play with a couple of men down. Like your middlemen are gonna have to stay out there longer, way longer than what you've planned and what they're used to playing. There was just some superhuman efforts by all players involved last night.
And then halftime happens. Did you manage to get down in the sheds?
I did.
What were you feeling? Were you confident going down?
Super confident.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, super confident. And as I said, you know, that try right on halftime helped. Mate, you may have felt slightly different if we hadn't have scored that one. You're sort of thinking, okay, how are we going to get ourselves back in this? We need to find some points. We can't allow New South Wales to get away to a good start in the second half. Like, we need to be the first team to score. Because if they go and score, Cleary doesn't miss a kick.
Yeah.
They go up by 12. All of a sudden,
Wow.
different ball game.
Yeah.
So it was great that we went in only 2 down, and that if we could find some points early, that was going to put us back in front and put pressure on these guys who, you know, a lot of these New South Wales players involved with, say, more so Penrith, they haven't lost a lot of football over the last, like, not just the last few weeks, the last few years.
Yeah.
So it's a very foreign situation that they find themselves in when the opposition, first of all, are standing up to them and actually going at them and attacking them. And then secondly, when they look up at the scoreboard and their team's not in front, it's a very foreign situation for them.
Yeah.
So and I think last night you've seen a couple of them, they didn't quite respond the way they needed to.
Yeah, I mean, Origin, it's just we talk about it every single year it comes around. It's like Suncorp's a different beast. Suncorp's a different beast. And then it's just, it really is a different beast. Now, so the second half kicks off. I'm not sure how early it happened. We've got to talk about it. It was one of the defining moments. So I guess the order of events, I think Kalen Ponga makes a break.
Yes.
As Kalen Ponga is getting up, it seemed to be that Burton may have pushed him over, some may say he just accidentally ran into him. Some may say he pushed him over. I personally think he did give him a bit of a shove.
I think he knew where he was running.
He knew where he was running, and he could have easily run around him. But that's part of Origin.
Yeah, it's
great
part
stuff.
of footy. Yep.
So Dane Gagai goes, hey, none of that here, mate. Goes and pushes Burton. Burton gets up. As Gagai is walking away, kind of shapes up to Gagai. Gagai turns around. Then she's on for all money. Then's a bit of hiss-hoss, a bit of getting into each otother. A bit of hiss-hoss, mate. The good stuff. The good stuff when you're not in it, when you just get to watch it.
Yeah.
And so, Dane Gagai and Burton go in it. Tino comes in, is pulling Burton from behind, gets him in a headlock, takes him to the ground. Now, the first question. Some people feel that Burton shouldn't even been sent 10 in the bin. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the ruling there is like he threw punches. So I think that's automatic binning in the current game. You throw a punch, you're off the field. So, you know, I think that was pretty clear cut. And I think, you know, there was comments made after the game saying, you know, I thought that Burton was harshly dealt with by he shouldn't have gone in the bin. Well, if you take it right back to what you were talking about there, Matt Burton had an opportunity to not run through Kalen Ponga.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's seen him. If we're fair dinkum, watch the replay. He's seen him. He knew he was there.
He did. Yeah.
Go around him.
Yeah.
But hey, if you want to do it, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Origin football. It's a physical game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough game. If you want to play Origin, you got to play tough.
Mm.
Now Dane Gagai, he wasn't going to take that last night.
Mm.
He's seen it, and you see that in the replay too.
Mm.
He's standing out on his right wing. He was pushing downfield in support.
Mm.
As he turned to his left, he seen Matt Burton run straight through his fullback, and he thought, "No, I'm not going to cop that."
Mm.
So he went over there, give him a shove, and that was going to be it.
Mm.
But then Matt Burton, he wanted to follow it up.
Yeah.
He went over to Dane Gagai and said, "Hey mate, he give him a shovel, grabbed him, whatever," and then Gags just said, "Well, let's go."
Mm. Mm.
And just put it on him.
Yeah.
And then it just erupted from there. It's been so long since we've seen punches thrown in Origin.
And I got to give a massive.
Well, when was the last time? It was Tino and Payne Haas.
And that wasn't
couple of years
really
ago.
punch.
It was just a little bang, 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 and it was done.
That was done. Whereas this is a proper punches thrown.
That was brawl.
I will say, I've got a lot of respect for Burton. He came back on the field and he did not. It's not like he let that moment stop him from having a dig.
No,
he still kept going all game. So I've got to give a lot of respect. A young kid in his second game to be able to come back and handle that big moment.
Yep.
I think he's going to be all the more better for it. He's going to learn so much from it. And also, knowing himself, he can handle the big moments. Even when the big moments don't go his way, he can still hang in there and deliver what he needs to deliver.
Yep.
Now, some people also feel that Tino should have been sent 10 in the bin for grabbing Burton.
Mm.
My personal opinion, I don't think so. I think that, let's say that was behind New South Wales lines, the New South Wales blokes would have ran in just the same and pulled players up and headlocked and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think he should be sent 10 to the bin for pulling players off.
Well, no, not in that. I wouldn't even expect him to leave the field in an NRL game if that happened. You know what I mean? And honestly, shoe on the other foot. If a Queenslander did what Matt Burton did and ran through, say, James Tedesco, I'd expect Blues players to come and have a crack at the Queensland player too and rough him up a bit.
Well, earlier in the game, there was Selwyn was out cold, and there were New South Wales players yipping and yahooing, which it's all part of Origin. It's it's Origin. Happened a few years ago. Tedesco was out. Jairo was, for a bit until he realised he was out, but he was yipping and yahooing. That's, in my opinion, that is Origin. Both teams are going to do it. Yep. I think the ref got it right. Both people in the bin for 10.
Yep.
But I mean, talk about Origin folklore. What an incredible moment. But we are going to go to a break. After the break, we're going to get to your calls, but we're also going to continue to break down the second half of the incredible decider last night. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Make sure to give us a call, 1300 01 1170, or text 0457 736 736. But time now for Best Hands segment. Thanks to Schnitz, the best schnitzel in all the land. Smithy, what do we got here?
We have 3 nominations from last night's game, Kempy. 1 point goes to Jerome Luai for his try in the first half of a Nathan Cleary kick. It actually looked like he stumbled and he wasn't going to get there, but he actually reached out and was able to get his fingertips to the ball. It was a great try. Those 2 guys in that sort of period of time, they were just pulling the strings for New South Wales, and that was a great try to Jerome. 2 points, Benny Hunt. The intercept, I don't know how he did this.
Oh, mate.
He closed his eyes. He turned his head. All of a sudden, he found himself in open space with the ball in his hands, and he looked up and it was Isaiah Yeo just to his left, and he just backed himself.
Dozer.
Brucey.
Those little legs.
Mate, how did he get there?
I don't know. He was on a treadmill for a second, then he just kicked. He kicked.
The jockey pulled the whip.
Oh,
he just found another gear.
He found another gear, all right.
2 points to Benny Hunt, but 3 points.
Wow.
And we've spoken about this play. Was Valentine Holmes. I still don't know how he did it. I don't know how. I don't think he knows how he did it, but he come up with it. Was how he kept the ball in play. So Nathan Cleary, they've already had a couple of dropouts prior. They go again, and it's getting to that period of time where they need a result. They need to get the ball back. I actually thought they were going to go short in the air, but he goes shortish along the ground hard, trying to find the touchline, and it actually looked like it's going to get there.
Great kick.
It bounces up, and Val Holmes just launched himself across the sideline. He was midair, and how far over the sideline do you reckon it was?
Mate,
A metre?
at least a metre.
Metre and a half?
Is it just amazing play?
And not just got his hands to the ball, but got it back in play for Queensland to gain possession. Huge play. So 3 points to Val Holmes. For
3
best
points to Val Holmes. We're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to wrap up the first hour. And also, we're going to talk about the second half of Game 3, the Origin Decider, plus take your calls. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Text in 0457 736 736 or call 1300 01 1170. We've got some texts here before we go to a break. Hey, boys, Smithy, how good was it waking up this morning? The kicking game of DC and Benny was a massive factor in the second half. Blues were camped down in their own end.
Yep.
Mate, Huge.
And it was great timing. The skipper, he pulled one out of the top drawer, didn't he?
Mate, DCE, in my opinion, that was his best ever Origin game.
Ever.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought
That's
it was
a fair
amazing.
Point.
And
That's a fair point.
And I just think that, we had that famous victory with Munster leading the charge.
Mm-hmm.
This was DCE's moment to lead the charge, and he absolutely nailed it.
Yep.
Nailed it.
We got another text too saying Queensland would have won by plenty more if the beak was on the wing.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. I won't say no. You said it. Look, I was going to put my hand up. When Taulungi went down, I was going to shoot Billy a text. I was going to shoot you a text, Smithy, and go, mate, I'm ready. Now, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to get into those famous last moments of Game 2. Benny Hunt winning the series. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Give us a call, 1300 01 1170 or text 0457 736 736. Plus, subscribe to us on Spotify and Apple. You just search the Captain's Run. You can subscribe at any time, or you can download the app and listen to us at any time. Now, the second half rolls around. We've spoken about the Burton Gagai situation, but Queensland are camped down in New South Wales end. What are you kind of feeling in the coaches? Had you spoken about this before the game of boys? It may be tight. Hold our nerve.
Yep. Well, that's what we were predicting. We were predicting a really close game. It's a decider. There's not many deciders that are blowouts. So that was the discussion, was that, hey, we need to prepare. This is the scenario we may find ourselves in. So, the key position players in the footy side, those spine players that you talk about, the fullback, halfback, 5'8", dummy half. You throw Dozer in there too, Benny Hunt, when he stayed out in the field playing as that link middle forward. They took control, and they needed to. That was the message to those guys in the preparation for this game, was that, hey, boys, we need you to step up here. We just need you to take control of the football side in those big moments. And they did it beautifully. And what they did was they did exactly what New South Wales did to them in Game 2, where they just didn't take their foot off their throat. And put them in a situation where they had to try and come up with big plays. And when you try and come up with big plays in that type of environment, a lot of the time it goes against you. And what that did was it heaps more pressure on themselves, and it just makes it harder to get out of the situation you're in. So, but to their credit, I'll go back to what I spoke about earlier. To their credit, New South Wales, they didn't back down. And they backed themselves to get out of there, and they almost did. Seriously. It's just amazing to think one little bobble either way, and we're having a totally different discussion here. And that's why, as New South Wales fans, again, it's going to hurt, but it weren't that far off. Like, it could have been us sitting here, Queensland sitting here going, exactly,
mate.
And you talk about the points difference between the two footy sides over 42 years. Okay, 42 years of Origin. Like, the difference, or the disparity in points scored for both teams, it's minimal. Like, it's not that far apart. It's like, I don't know, like 20 points difference.
Yeah, I think it's even less than that. I think it might be down to 6 points or something.
It might have been 6 points. I think what New South Wales may have scored 6 more points.
6 more points before this game.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's how tight these games are,
mate.
And they, as I said, they teeter on a knife's edge. And one play that goes for your team or against your team can decide the outcome of the game. And fortunately for Queenslanders, it went the Maroons' way last night. Yeah, it was an amazing effort. So the game is on the line. There was a period there where we couldn't score, and I was beginning to get worried that New South Wales would take the air out of our tire, just like, we can't score, we're going to get desperate, deflate, we're going to do something crazy, try to do all these kicks or whatever.
Was there a message? Obviously, you weren't in the coaching box, but you made a real point of kicking early. Like, I'm talking tackle 2 sometimes.
Yep.
Was that something that Billy had spoken about before the game?
Well, it's very, very rarely used in NRL matches now because of this set restart rule. Okay, so you find yourself marching down the field. You get a set restart, there's no need to kick. Okay, you're almost up on the opposition try line by the end of your set. But it's such a valuable part of the game still. And it's gone, as I said, it's gone out of the game. But you look at a couple of early kicks by Daly Cherry Evans. He kicked on play 2 last night. Play two. And that's just a message to the Blues to say, hey, listen, we're happy to tackle this game out. We're happy to back our defence. Are you willing to carry the ball off your end?
Yeah.
You big boy, you ruck players for the Blues, are you willing to now run back 50 metres, get behind the ball, and then carry the ball into our defence?
Yeah.
That's the message that you send. And all you're doing is you're chipping away at their mental strength. It's just, you're just constantly chopping the tree down.
Yeah.
You're just taking bit by bit by bit until it falls.
Yeah.
And I think the critical moment of an early kick, Ben Hunt, he's 40-20.
Honestly.
And it's no surprise why he was leading the Dally M's when it went behind closed doors. He's playing such great football this year, particularly. He's been playing great football, nearly his entire career. But, a moment like that where I think Harry Grant sort of half come out. He was going to run. I was speaking to Benny after the game, and he said, mate, he seen him come out, but he seen an opportunity down that right-hand side. I think Brian To'o was up on the end of the line. Tedesco was slightly out of position. And Harry Grant sort of got out of dummy half, and he was like screaming at him, Harry, give me the ball, give me the ball. And he just got it to him, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
He got it to him on the run. He just took 2 steps and went bang. And as soon as it left his boot, I was like 40-20.
Absolutely.
I think everyone knew 40-20.
Straight
this is
away.
going over.
It was honestly, the way it was kicked, you knew it even was going to bounce poorly because it was kicked through the ball so well.
Yep.
It wasn't a high. It was just a great kick.
Yep.
Anyway, now when you see, what are you thinking when Benny Hunt gets that intercept and the game's over?
Well, if you thought I went off in game 1 when he made that line break, Queensland didn't score, but mate, he takes that intercept, and I looked downfield. I was looking for Tedesco. I was like, where is he?
Yeah.
He's going to have to come up with something, Benny. Like, have we got support around him? But there was no one. There was 70 metres or 75 metres of empty Suncorp Stadium turf. And then he just pinned it. I'm looking up, and I was like, there's only Isaiah Yeo.
Yeah.
Like, has he got the legs though? Because he's put in such a huge effort up to that point.
Yeah.
But I think he just had like a really quick spell just beforehand.
Oh, really?
He'd come off the field.
Oh, wow.
Harry Grant then had to come off because he got a bad cork.
Okay.
Then Benny Hunt went back on.
Yeah.
So he had a slight little spell there, little breather, but he had enough energy in those little legs of his, and he got there.
Those
so
little
I
legs
like
pumping,
mate, to say that I was like riding him home.
Yeah.
Like I was on a special coming down the straight at Flemington.
Mate, I was in my hotel room yelling at the TV screen. Now, look, it's less than 24 hours. Yep. But where to now for the Blues? Do you stick with what you've got, what you've built? Do you think there's going to be mass changes? From my perspective, it's really hard to read who isn't going to get selected in the Blues side. Jake Trbojevic came in game 2. It's just really hard. So it's really hard to get a prediction on, where the Blues go from here.
Yeah, and like that selection process was, I must say, I was a little bit confused at times throughout this series where, so RCG in particular, we spoke about his game in game 1. I thought he was quite strong. Misses out for game 2. And then misses out for game 3. Jordan McLean comes in, then gets injured. You're thinking RCG back in, but then he brings in Saifiti.
Yeah,
who was great last night.
Yeah, was
fantastic.
Was
great last night. But it's just the chopping and changing of players,
and then White not being able to come back.
The Whiten one for me was the most confusing. I thought, and I think we spoke about this on the captain's run last week. Jack Whiten straight back in for mine.
I thought so too.
And whether he was going to start or be on the bench, I thought being on the bench was a great option not so much a utility because Damien Cook was always going to be there, but a utility as in can play anywhere in the back line. And if one of your forwards are tired, throw him in there. He's big. He's a big man, Jack Whiten. He plays the game physical. He plays the game the way Origin players play. And you talk about, experts talking about it. He's built for Origin. He's built for Origin.
Yeah.
It showed that in game one. He was their best player.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just surprising because that's where Freddie, he clearly sees something that I don't, but if there was a player to be loyal to after game one, not loyalty is the wrong word. Loyalty is the wrong word. But if there's a player to select on form.
Loyalty, it's the right word, mate.
All right, loyalty it is.
Well, have a look at Billy Slater this series.
Yeah.
There was question marks over a few players after game two, saying they shouldn't be there, but he picked them.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's really fair. And that's where I'm just unsure as like what is the direction going forward, because we could be going into game one for New South Wales and have another 7 changes.
Yeah.
And the reason, Billy, for example, what I respect so much about him is he was almost going to live and die on the hill that he had created, in a sense, in a positive way. So at the start of the series, he had a plan, and regardless of result, he was going to stick to the plan. And I think that it builds quite a lot going forward. Now, he's got plenty of years going ahead, and we're not sure how it's all going to turn out. But with the New South Wales one, I'm just really a bit unsure, as to is it even going to be the same core of players outside of the Yo and
the Penrith combination?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you just don't know. And maybe the thing with that is that there are more. New South Wales have far greater numbers to pick from. Whereas Queensland don't. The pool of players for Queensland compared to New South Wales is much smaller.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact, Billy's mindset was, hey, boys, I've picked a squad of 22 players for this first game. You are the men that are going to go out there and get the job done for Queensland. And we're putting our trust and our faith in you and our belief that you can get it done. If you look at the changes across the series this year for Queensland, they were all forced.
Yeah. Through
injury, and then Felice Kafusi through, family matters when he wasn't available for game 3. A little bit different situation for New South Wales, and each to their own.
Yeah.
Like at no, we're not criticising, the selections of New South Wales or the process or what they've done. Just saying that there was a couple of selections in there that were a little bit confusing, particularly the Jack Whiten one.
Yeah, it's hard to get a read on. Whereas, for example, Billy, I can sit there and go, I can see the plan. Even if I disagree with it, I can kind of see what's where the direction is. With Freddie's selections, I'm just unsure as to who's going to be there next year. You know, and again, look, he's in his last 5 series, he's still up 3-2.
Absolutely, yeah, that's right.
So Freddie, it's not like we're saying that he's been poor at all.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
absolutely not. He's winning currently in his coaching career, but it's going to be really interesting to see if there's going to be mass changes again. They've got so much depth, though, New South Wales, so much depth. Now we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to talk about. We're going to preview the round. Plus, we're also going to talk about.
Is there footy on this weekend?
I think there is. I think Dearden's playing in 24 hours.
He is tomorrow.
Yeah, incredible. We're going to head to a break, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Now, we've got some callers here, but before we get to the callers, we'll do a quick little text update. Getting a few texts here, not liking the Queensland chat from New South Wales fans.
That's right.
We've also got some texts here from some great New South Wales supporters. Smithy and Kempy, as a New South Wales supporter, there are breaking news in New South Wales right now. Next year's Blues squad is picked, and it's the whole Panthers squad.
With only Tedesco at fullback.
That's from Juan the Eagle.
Juan
the Eagle.
Yep.
I had to turn off this rubbish about Burton, deliberately holding Ponga back. What a load of crap. 3 Queenslanders, first one throwing punches. What a dirty dog.
Come on, brother.
Come on, bros. You telling me you can't step around Kalen Ponga getting up?
Yeah. Watch the replay.
Now, we've got some callers here. Aaron from Windsor. You there, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm here.
There you go, mate. What do you got for us?
Just as a Blues fan, first of all, devastated, but proud of the boys' efforts. So I just wanted to bring up about how solid DCE was. I thought his kicking game made it so hard for the Blues to get out of our end, and it really hurt us. Even as a Blues fan, it was so good to see him prove everyone wrong and, prove all the critics wrong. So what were your guys' thoughts on DCE?
Yeah, mate, I'll be totally honest. I've been pretty critical of DCE's defence. I think that last night, though, I think he was outstanding in defence and in attack. I mean, his kicking game was incredible. It was truly, for me, it was a moment that DCE has been working towards for many, many years, and I thought he was absolutely incredible and also really does, post, Smithy and Cronk and Thurston, Queensland have needed a leader, and, he's been there through some, I guess you could, in air quotation marks, say rebuild phases. But he's also been part of some of the most famous victories Queensland's ever seen. Obviously last night, then the one with Cam Munster where we were told that it was the worst side ever.
Yep.
Mate, DCE, you're totally right. He proved a lot of people wrong and really stood up and showed what he was made of.
Yeah, it's a great point, Aaron. And I think ultimately it was just a great captain's knock. Given Cam Munster was ruled out and he had a rookie pairing in the halves with Tommy Dearden, I think he just knew from there, like, this, I really need to take control of this match. And I really need to point the team and all of my players in the right direction. And he was fantastic all week, Kempy. Like, his ability, to get the boys up at training, talk to them, during sessions, post sessions, talking to them about, what this game is all about. He'd been involved in some big matches, as you said, at Suncorp, whereas, there's a lot of guys, we had a couple on debut, and we had a couple of guys that hadn't played in Origin games at Suncorp and what it's like and what it was, where they needed to be mentally. Physically, they were always going to be in great shape, physically. But you just don't know where their heads are at for that game. As coaches, you can do, what you think is right to get them there. But, to have someone like Daly in there as the skipper and just to guide all those players and just have them up and have them ready to go. It was just you mentioned it before, mate. It was possibly the best game that he's played in a Maroons jumper.
Absolutely. What do you reckon, Aaron?
Yeah, no, I agree. It was, look, I was like you. I thought if Queensland lose the series and he doesn't have a great game, they'll move on from him. But to see him prove everyone wrong like that, and yeah, the way he kicked that ball last night and kept the Blues in their half. Yeah, he did an awesome job. So he deserves to stay, in the Maroon side and as captain for the rest of his career if he keeps it up. So,
mate, totally agree. Absolutely fantastic point, mate. Thanks for giving us a call, Aaron. Appreciate it, mate.
Good on you, mate.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
Now we've got Nick from Wellington Point. You there, Nick?
You got us, Nico?
Yes. How are you, boys?
Going good, mate. What do you got for us?
Mate, my question is for you, Kempy. Are you the Maroons player whisperer? Because you said on the podcast on Monday that Benny Hunt would be the difference. And last night he came up with one of the greatest moments in Origin history, in my opinion.
Hey, come on, mate. Claim it.
Look, a broken clock's right twice a day. Let's just put it that way. Mate, to be honest, all I was looking at was he's leading the Dally M and he's been waiting for this moment. I think I'm fortunate enough. I actually was at the Broncos when Benny Hunt was coming through. And so I've seen what this kid is made of. Like, he was the next guy to lead the Broncos club. And there's no two ways about it. Anthony Milford was obviously recruited, but Brisbane Broncos was a club built around Benny Hunt to come through and take over. So I knew how good he was as a player. And outside of that, one error in that grand final, I just know that there's certain players that are a cut above the rest, and Benny Hunt is one of those players. And so I just hope that he would have that moment. And yeah, bro, I'm lucky that I got it right. I got about 10 other things wrong though, so we'll erase that.
Hey, now you can have the player whisperer. You know what I mean? So at least there's something good that comes your way.
I appreciate it, mate. Thanks so much, Nick, for giving us a call.
Hey, also quickly, Cam, I just wanted to ask you, my mum always runs into you at the dentist on the Gold Coast, and she says you don't look a day past 21. I wanted to know what your skincare routine was.
Income.
I think good.
Mate, your mum's looking after me there, mate. I'll tell you what.
No worries, boys. Have a great day. Always drink bloke in a bar and go Queensland.
Good on you, Nick.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. What a legend.
What a caller.
I'll send you that $1,000 later.
Surely at least we can get Tommy to organise a $50 Schnitz voucher.
Oh, that's a $50 Schnitz voucher if I ever saw one.
Good on you, mate.
There you go, mate. He wins. It's $50 Schnitz voucher. I tell you what, the Snitties are great. We've got Lachlan from Penrith on the line. Lachlan, you there, mate?
Yeah, boys. G'day. How are you?
Going good, Lockie. What do you got for us, bud?
I just saw a article this morning with all the players' ratings from Queensland. I was just going through it, and I saw Tommy Gilbert from the article, and his player rating was only 6.5. And in the article, it actually had written down came on after a few minutes, didn't have much impact on the game. I actually thought he was one of Queensland's best forwards last night, especially on last. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. I thought it was an absolute punch in the face.
Who gave that rating? Do you want to mention it?
It was. I won't mention the name. It was
Someone from that sound.
I don't want to throw the company under the bus.
No, we're just joking.
No, that's all
I
good.
won't throw under the bus. But I just saw that. I just thought, wow, that's a bit of a punch in the face to Tommy Gilbert, considering he was probably Queensland's best last night, or considering one of the best, I thought.
Yeah, he was one of, mate. And you know what? I'll be honest. He was thrown in early with those couple of HIAs. And what he did was he did a lot of work that would have gone unnoticed by a lot of people last night, except for the guys that matter, and that's his teammates. The amount of hard carries that he took, the tough carries, he did a lot of defensive work, particularly cleaning up in and around the ruck. Some of the pressure he put on, the ball players and the kickers of that footy side was just super impressive. And I'll tell you, if you ask one of his teammates what their rating of his game was out of 10, it would be much higher than 6.5. And, that's just people's opinion. And whoever's given that opinion, that's just how they viewed his game. But I'll tell you what, everyone in Queensland, particularly his teammates, as I mentioned, and the coaches, he was so good. So good.
Just to piggyback on that, Smithy, when we see the great moments of Benny Hunt, DCE, those great moments can't happen without the foundation of guys like Tino, Gilbert, doing the little things like kick pressure, running the right lines, getting inside pressure,
Paddy Carrigan,
all that stuff.
Papali'i.
So it's almost like you're building a house. That they're actually the concrete foundation slab that you don't actually, unless you're watching the game closely, you're only going to see the big highlights of Benny Hunt. But in reality, they don't happen unless they are putting the pressure.
And I'm so happy for Tom Gilbert too. He's been on the radar of the Queensland Origin side for 12 months. I spoke yesterday, sort of around midday when the team went for a walk, that he is a great buy for the Dolphins. He signed a 3-year deal there.
Yeah,
he is a great buy. I reckon, right, by the end of that 3-year deal, he could be the Dolphins captain.
Wow.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
He's a good young man. He's very respectful, very quietly spoken, but he is an absolute beast when he gets on the field.
Mate, he was incredible last night. Lachlan, thank you so much for calling in, bro. I appreciate it.
Thanks, boys.
Now we're going to head to the news. After the news, we've got a round to preview, and we'll continue to talk about Origin. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Smithy, we got some text here, mate. Got some text here.
Yes.
Good morning, bloke, and the greatest assistant hooker of all time. Greatest assistant of all time. I love it. Firstly, how good to be a Queenslander, but surely after that game, Ben Hunt and Kalen Ponga have silenced any critics. What a game by those two. Was wondering what impact you reckon Billy had on Ponga. Cheers, Nathan.
Oh, huge impact. Huge impact.
So good.
And someone asked me about, Kalen, and Reece Walsh was in camp too, as well. And they just said, "Oh, mate, are those two boys, are Kalen and Reece, are they like shadows of Billy?" I said, "No, other way around. Billy won't leave them alone. He's like their shadow."
Yeah, good.
But Bill was great. And it was like his little project. And that's not a disrespectful comment saying that Kalen's his little project. He knew that Kalen had so much more to give, than what he'd produced in his Origin career. And I think last night, if I was Kalen this morning, and he was a happy man, he was a really happy man last night. It was so good for him. You'd go home now to Newcastle and look at that game and go, look, if I can produce that at Origin level, well, that's my standard now. That's my standard.
Yeah,
that's how I need to play every week for my club.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely right.
It is enormous, and I think he's been invaluable to Kalen, Billy.
Oh, mate, I just think that this series, you could see Kalen almost realizing each game, realizing more and more. Oh, I really do have so much more left in me. Like last night, the confidence that he was playing at, the way he was running the ball back. Like it's almost like he got back to that initial form where he truly believed that his footwork could beat tackles and that he was quicker than the opposing defence line. So, yeah, I love watching Kalen. Now, we've got some huge games this week.
We do. We got the game of the round.
Game of the round. Thanks to Suncorp. Time now to look at a game of the round. We do that thanks to Suncorp. Get award-winning car insurance with Suncorp, and it is with the North Queensland Cowboys and the Cronulla Sharks at 6 p.m. at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. I just want to say quickly, do you think that with how many Cowboys played in this, Queensland side, that this may have given them enough to be a premiership threat this season?
Possibly.
Because, the confidence that they're going to be having now, Nanai was incredible. All of our attack in the first half, outside from the try-assist from Dearden, was off Nanai. The catch that nearly got Papali'i over, the offloads off his edge, the line break assists, he was incredible.
It's not undoable for the Cowboys. And we've seen when they're at their best, they're very good. One big hurdle in their way is, of course, Penrith. Okay, they just don't look like losing a game at the moment.
And it could light a fire.
That is so good.
With so many key players in New South Wales, could light a massive fire.
Mate, you're exactly right. So those players now go back and go, right, reset our focus, back on the premiership. Let's go and get the job done, boys. And it feels that way. I remember, coming back from Origin, I was fortunate enough not to be in that situation a lot, but particularly early on, sort of 04-05 series where we lost in deciders. You then reset and go, right, I want to go back and play well for my club, and we want to get wins for our club and do the very best we can. So, yeah, that might be a bit of a ominous sign for the rest of the teams in the competition with those Penrith boys not doing so well last night.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the North Queensland Cowboys versus the Sharkies. Now, the Sharkies, I think they've been back lately, honestly. Their last two games, they've really hit that form again, and it's just... honestly, smash it around. It's going to be so good.
Strong win last week against Melbourne, wasn't it?
Really strong.
Their first half, they were just unbelievable. And it wasn't so much like Melbourne were poor. Their attack in the first half, in particular, the Sharkies, was just they played so well. And Craig Bellamy, I think he actually spoke about that in his post-game press conference, was that they were so good. That just everything they touched turned to gold.
Yeah, they were so slick, super slick. How do you see this game planning out?
Well, depending on who's backing up. Now, Tom Dearden and Tom Gilbert, the two Toms, they've been named to play. I think both players pulled up quite good from the game, although it was, they're battered and bruised.
I was going to say, wow.
They're battered and bruised. And I actually spoke to Tommy Dearden last night, and he said, mate, I'm keen to play.
Really?
He's like, mate, I want to play. And I said, well, mate, good on you. And I remember...
I would have had the year off. I would have rang me club and said... Mate, did you just see what I did in the Origin arena?
I need the rest of the year.
Give me the year off.
I'll come back for finals.
Yeah, come back for finals for it.
I remember when we were playing Origin and we back up, but the game's so much different now. It's different. It's a bit faster. Although Origin was super fast even back then, but he was keen. And I think you have that feeling too off a win as well. You get that feeling of I've got this great feeling. Yeah, I just want to get out there and play footy again.
Yeah.
And now that also too, the series is over. That Queensland have won the series. You just take that confidence that you've just taken from the Origin arena back to Clubland. And the comment I made to Tommy was mate, you watch how everything is so much slower now. Well, it feels that way.
Yeah,
because of the match that you've just played. You go back to Clubland this weekend on Friday night, and you'll be just mate, are we in slow motion?
Yeah, wow. Tommy did.
You'll just see it so much clearer.
He looked so comfortable. I can't believe how comfortable he looked.
Yep.
He didn't look rushed. He didn't look like he was worried about the line speed or anything.
So, mate, back to this game, depending on the lineup, they could have a fair few out. So if Tom Dearden and Tom Gilbert are named to play, Val Holmes and Jeremiah Nanai, they're going to be rested. They're without Murray Tuolangi, still coming through that COVID isolation stuff, and Jordan McLean as well. So if you throw all of those players in,
it's True.
It's a tough one, particularly if the Sharkies are in that vein of form that they were in last week against Melbourne. So it's a really hard one at the moment because you don't know the lineups. I'm saying if Cowboys have a few back, I'd say they win at home. But I think I might go the Sharks here in an upset.
Yeah, I went the Cowboys earlier, but now that you lay out how many players that could be out, wow, and how the Sharks is going, very, very. I mean, it's going to be such a good match.
Yep, Nico Hines and Toby Rudolph back as well.
And Rudolph was incredible a couple of weeks ago. He was one of their best forwards.
Yep.
That was our game of the round, thanks to Suncorp Insurance, winner of CanStar's Outstanding Claims Award, 7 years in a row. 7 years in a row. Now we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to continue. We're going to continue previewing the round.
Oh, let's keep previewing.
Keep previewing?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got some time.
We got Para and the Warriors.
Okay, we've got Para and the Warriors.
That's down at Combank Stadium.
Combank Stadium. Now, what's going on with Para, Smithy?
Oh, mate, I don't know. It's every year. Every year this happens. And they're up, they're down, they're up, they're down. They're premiership threats, and they just falter. Junior Polo, he's been named to come back. That pushes Murata Niokore to lock. I don't know. You spoke about these players coming back from New South Wales, and they may have a little bit of a fire in the belly.
Yeah.
Possibly the big man, who was very good last night for the Blues. Look, to be fair, I think they'll be too strong for the Warriors. Although they get Reece Walsh back to fullback. Harris DeVita, he goes to 5'8". Yeah, I just think they're going to be too strong for the Warriors.
Yeah, I
particularly
agree.
at home.
The Eels though for me, it's tough because it's honestly every year I want to get it behind them. I want to go, boys, this is the year.
Yeah.
And every year they just one week they're killing it, the next week they're struggling.
Yep.
Just not really sure what's going to turn out here. I guess if I'm going to try to look at glass half full, maybe they're saving the run for later on because like last year around this time, I think they only just begun to peter out.
Yep.
Whereas I guess maybe this year it's different where they have a bit of a mid-season lull and then they come into great for the finals footy, playing good footy. Again, I don't know whether that will happen, but I'm hoping. New Zealand Warriors recently signed new coach Andrew Webster from the Penrith Panthers. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's a good buy. Yeah, I think it's a good buy.
Bring the Penrith system over.
Yeah, and he's got an insight into what winning looks like, and the system that they've built there for over the last few years, particularly. Not to say it's going to work. Like you can't. It's hard to just take a Penrith system and take it to another club and say, "There you go, boys, just do that."
Yeah,
and it works. Like he doesn't have the same cattle. But I think talking to players within the competition who have worked with Webster, they think he's a great young coach, and he's done some great things.
Yeah, they need the Warriors. They've got so much talent there. They just need to find a way to keep that talent in New Zealand. Like they often get poached by all the Australian clubs come over, take their best young talent, and then New Zealand are left trying to work it out and bringing other players back to them. So hopefully,
well, mate, them going back home, like playing their home games now at Mount Smart Stadium. Let's hope that reignites, the junior system over there and the interest in rugby league and the interest to be a part of a Warriors system and become a New Zealand Warrior someday when they're a little bit older.
I think that, we can't underestimate the impact of them not being there for 2 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there's going to be so many kids that are 16, 17-year-old that have no real connection
with the club. It's out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
They're just not there. They're just not. They haven't been there for 2 years, which is unfortunate. But as I said, being back home now, we've seen, last week, just the great scenes at Mount Smart Stadium with the Warriors returning home, what it meant to their fans, their members, and just, the Kiwi people in general, just to see their team back playing on their home turf. And as I said, hopefully it generates more interest in rugby league again, particularly at that junior level.
Now we've got some text here. Hey, Goat, and the bloke that took Denon's Origin debut off him. With Corey Oates' game last night, surely that's a hole-in-one and gets him that spot for years to come again. Now, what are your thoughts on that? Scott from Greenbank.
Mate, he was good.
So good.
Big Gary.
Big Gary.
Yeah.
Hey, ball of energy.
Yeah, he was. He was good. And he come in game 2 and he was part of the squad. The extra, the extra 5 outside the 17. And, he's jovial and he was mucking around a bit. And I was like, Oatsy, come on, man. You got to switch on.
Oh, okay.
But he's got that playful sort of personality.
Yep.
But then when he got the call up for game 3, when Murray Tuolungi went down, like he knew, like he was switched on. He knew what was coming up, and he knew what he needed to do, and he was fantastic. He was so good, and like it's a reward for where he's got himself back to.
Yeah, man,
playing some great footy. Just some of the best footy of his career, which is so good.
Absolutely. We're going to go to a break now. After the break, we're going to break down which young players are climbing up the Bailey ladder after last night's Origin decider. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Time to break down which young players are climbing up the Bailey ladder. Workside trusted for over 60 years, Smithy.
60 years, mate. That's impressive. And I'll tell you what else was impressive.
Tell me.
Tom Dearden. He's my first nomination.
Wow.
For the young players climbing the Bailey's ladder.
Seriously.
On debut, wearing the number 6 jersey. Magic happens in that number 6 maroon jersey. He ran for 100 metres. Had one line break assist, and a try assist to Val Holmes.
Wow.
Great combo. The Cowboys left edge there. What a game he had. Jacob Saifiti. So remember this young man was playing in his first game as well.
Yeah.
And I mentioned the first carry. I don't know.
Holy moly.
Could he have had a better carry in his opening match?
No.
Just ran over the top of, was it Capewell?
Nanai.
Nanai. Oh.
Nanai did his best, but just Saifiti, big boy.
He went back 2 and 3 metres, Nanai. It was unbelievable. So he scored a try, of course. He ran for 130 metres. I think his first stint, he was on for not long, but he had 97 metres.
Yeah. He was incredible.
And his first
stint was amazing.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was he was on for 10 minutes and made 97 metres, something like that. Anyway, 130 metres total in the end, and had a line break, made 30 tackles as well.
Wow.
So an enormous effort by Jacob Saifiti. He was great. And then my third nomination, and a bit of an unsung hero for Queensland, I feel, Jeremiah Nanai, in his first starting opportunity for Queensland in Origin, only 19 years of age, mate.
It's amazing.
19 can be. Amazing. 70 running metres, 1 line break assist, 5 offloads, and made 33 tackles. And you mentioned at the start of the show, his early involvements, huge.
Yeah.
Just had New South Wales guessing.
Mate, we had a caller earlier saying that I was a player whisperer because I said Ben Hunt would win the match. I got this one wrong. I said Nanai should be on the bench.
Oh, no.
So, I got that wrong. I'll admit it. I thought Arrow should start, but
wow,
the youthful energy that he brought and the confidence.
Yeah,
he was almost a naive confidence in the sense of mate, do you understand the scale that you're on to be doing these offloads?
Yeah.
But he nailed it every time.
Mate, Kemi, you should see, we're fortunate we get to watch him at training, okay? You should see the skill that this young man has. He's a kid. He's a teenager still.
Well, Townsend said he went a whole preseason and he thought he was 23 or 24. And it wasn't until the season started where they go, no, he's actually 19 years old. And Townsend was like, what?
Oh, no knock on you, Maya. You don't look that old, mate.
No way,
I'm
mate.
on your side.
It's because you're mature, mate.
But the skill, mate, some of the touches, he's just got lovely hands. He's just got a soft pass on him. Even at the line, he gets a ball at the line and he's able to pop it to a fullback wrapping around. Or
well, when Kurt Catewell popped over his head, that was Nanai's soft hands that got it to Catewell.
It's just, he's going to be something special.
Absolutely. Just getting started. That's thanks to Bailey Ladders, bringing safety and efficiency to the worksite for over 60 years. After the break, we'll continue the Round 18 preview. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. We've got plenty of games to get to, but we've also got some text here, Smithy.
Yes.
Some text. Good morning. Oh, no, we've already read that one.
Yep.
Denon, I have asked numerous footy fans at work today, would they rather New South Wales win last night or their club win this weekend? I mean, all except one said club. Is this the difference what makes Origin? I assume Queensland fans would put Queensland over their club. Thoughts, Gav?
Interesting.
That is really interesting.
To see, we don't know how many friends Gav has asked. He may have asked one person. We don't know. He may have asked 10. Not sure. But all except one said they prefer their club team to
Mm.
win over New South Wales.
Wow. I'm picking Origin every day of the
I'm
week.
going Queensland.
Honestly.
I'm going Queensland. Happy for the club to drop one and just make it up next week.
Absolutely. I'm the same, mate. I'm the same.
Take
Matty,
the shield.
Matty said his club, but he's from New South Wales, so that's weird.
There you go, Matty.
Anyway, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to continue previewing the round. And we're going to talk about, I think, the Penny Panthers. Oh, yes, it's a tough loss, but I tell you what, they're a scary side to face. Now, all their players are going to be out, but I think that they'll be lifting the boys up, getting a big one. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cam Smith. Give us a call, 1300 01 1170, or give us a text, 0457 736 736. Make sure to subscribe to us on Apple and Spotify, the Captain's Run. Also, SENQ, Brizzy, Smithy.
Yep, SENQ in Brisbane, Gold Coast, SEN. And I'll tell you what, all the Queensland listeners out there, if you want to relive that moment last night, and the entire game is going to be replayed on SENQ and Gold Coast SEN with the Queensland call.
With just the Queensland call. So
Yes.
Queenslanders out there.
Straight
make sure to
after our
listen.
show. Midday.
But let's get to the round preview. We got the Roosters versus St. George Dragons. Now, Roosters, for me personally, I actually think, although they've lost their last two games, I think they are definitely coming back to where we thought they would at the start of the season.
Yeah.
I thought they'd been pretty good.
Well, you look at their performance against Penrith and, a couple of 50-50 calls against them and could possibly have jagged a win against Penrith.
Yep.
I don't think Lindsay Collins will be fit to play.
Yep.
He was ruled out last night with a HIA, so I don't think he'll be available. Luke Keary's still out.
Yeah,
It's concerning. It's a concerning thing for Luke.
It's one of those things where I just want whatever is best for him, whether it's
absolutely.
you know what I mean, in
Yeah,
the sense of
yeah.
like whether it's to play or never to play again.
Yeah.
Whatever is good for him.
Because he's got he's got such a long life to live after footy.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the Roosters have looked after their players. Boyd Cordner and Jake Friend in recent years have both ended their playing career because of head injury issues, concussion issues. So that they're not frightened to make those big calls and the calls that are in the best interest of their players. So we hope Luke Keary's doing well and we hope that he can play footy again soon. If not, that's just the way it is. Hargraves is back. He's back from a hamstring injury. Matt Lodge, he's a chance.
Oh wow!
Do you think?
Ooh. I mean, they might rush him in due to the fact that Collins is.
Yeah, he may be put in now because Lindsay Collins, like I said, highly unlikely he'll take the field after being ruled out of the match last night with a HIA. Big one though.
It's a huge one. Now, what's interesting as well, I think Tedesco came out midweek and said that Manu can be our long-term six.
Really?
Yeah. I think he came out and said that. Confirm that for us, Matty. But I'm pretty sure he did come out and discuss, look, Manu could be the long-term six if everything falls that way.
Yep.
Which is really interesting because I really like Manu at six. I really like him getting his hands on the ball more. So it's just going to be a huge call to see where Luke Keary is because the plan obviously was Keary, Sam Walker. That's the long-term plan.
So what about your thoughts on the Dragons though? So they come up to Brisbane last week. They'd won 4 of their previous 5, I believe, leading into that Broncos game, and they just weren't in the game.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. Like Ben Hunt wasn't there, but they didn't play like the team that we'd seen in the previous month.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Ben Hunt after his performance in Origin, he could do anything. You know what I mean, though? Like if anyone can win a big game, it's the guy floating on cloud 9 right now, which is Benny Hunt.
Although I've seen his performance post-match, I don't know if he'll be available.
And he's earned it. He's earned every second of it.
He will be, no. He's got plenty of time. He's playing Saturday. He's got a few days, a couple of days. 2 days, actually.
Yeah, so look, I'm going to tip the Roosters here. I'm going to tip the Roosters.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Teddy's going to be super fired up.
Yep.
We know how competitive he is. He was outstanding this series.
Yep.
I think he's just going to keep building in confidence later in the year. And so I'm going to go the Roosters.
Will he
to
have a
win.
break?
Oh, mate.
Will he have a
deserves
break
one.
this year?
Surely. The only problem is Roosters need...
Yeah, that's what I was going to
you
say.
know?
Like, it's hard to give him a rest now with Roosters, but maybe, I don't know, how does Trent Robinson look for an opportunity maybe during games?
Yeah. Yeah, if they get ahead.
So say they play this weekend and Tedesco plays, and say they're up by with 30 minutes to go, they're in a comfortable position. Do you just take him off the field?
Yeah,
and say,
I
"Mate,
think so.
Put your feet up.
And also, like, Manu can play, obviously Manu isn't Tedesco, but he's not that far off,
Yeah.
when it comes to a fullback role.
Yeah.
So maybe when Kiri and Walker are back on the field, maybe you put Manu back there, give Tedesco a week off.
Momorowski, can he play fullback as well? I think he could, couldn't he?
I'm not sure.
He's played,
I'm not sure.
wing
and centre?
Wing centre.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I know Suwali could probably slot back there if he had to.
Oh,
He's
Suwali's
so good, Suwali.
Put
But
him back there.
yeah, I'm going to go the Roosters get the win.
Yeah, I think Roosters too.
Manly versus the Newey Knights. Really interesting. Kalen Ponga, Dane Gagai, Saifidi have been named to back up from Origin.
Mm-hmm.
Bradman Best out again with a thumb injury. Wow, he's really
injury.
Yeah, he's unfortunately Bradman Best has just really been struggling with injury because, it was only 12 months ago where you could argue outside of Latrell and Tom Trebojevic, he was at least fighting for a centre spot in New South Wales.
Yep.
Now he's unfortunately struggling to get some games together, and he's so important to their attack. He's a game breaker.
Yep.
Look, Kalen Ponga, the good thing is for the Knights is Gagai was great, Ponga was great, and Saifidi was great.
They all played well.
So if they can bring that back to club footy, who knows what they can do?
Yep. And on the other side, Desi Hasler, he's named an unchanged lineup to the team that played against Melbourne Storm and had that really, it was only by a few points in the end, but they played an absolutely blockbuster game that night. I think if they bring that form, I think they'll be too strong for Newcastle.
Yeah, Manly,
especially
at
at 4 Points Park.
At
It's just
home.
a bit of a fortress there. I still call it Brookie, but
Yeah.
they're really strong there. Their last two games, they've actually blown the opposition off the park at that ground.
Yes.
So Cowboys and Storm sitting second and third on the ladder, but then the last 10 minutes they've just put the feet up, put the feet in the slippers, just
Mate.
we're okay, and they've nearly got run over.
Yeah. It's honestly
They've nearly got nailed on the post.
It's crazy to think that your win against Storm goes from this sets us up to top 8 footy. Our year is going great. We're firing. We're moving. At the moment we don't have Tom Trebojevic, but we're getting the job done. All of a sudden, 10 minutes of not the greatest footy. It's going. That was barely a win.
Yeah.
I think Manly get the job done here.
I think Manly.
Yeah.
I'm going to back Manly.
Going to ban Manly in.
Yeah.
Now we got the Titans versus the Brisbane Broncos. Tino, I saw Alawi will back up after Origin. Philip Sammy and Corey Thompson return from injuries. Sosefo Fafita also makes his NRL debut on the wing. I actually saw him in the trials. I really, really liked what I saw. Tanner Boyd is the new 5'8". Paul Turner goes to the bench. Aaron Booth is named at hooker for his Titans debut.
There you go.
Really, really interesting.
Former Storm player.
Former Storm player, and the hooking role for me for the Titans, I've been surprised Aaron Booth hasn't got a crack earlier.
Yep.
So that's going to be interesting to see. Jared Wallace is out. Jolloff joins the bench. Now onto the Brizzy Broncos. Origin reps, Corey Oates and Paddy Carrigan have been named among reserves. Selwyn Cobbo, Kurt Capewell have been rested. Well, Selwyn Cobbo, probably not playing.
Yep.
Corey Pakes is out with concussion. Jake Turpin to start at hooker. Well, where's Walters then? That's interesting.
Well, what is he, 6?
Yeah, maybe Walters is...
Would that be right? No.
No, because Ezra Mam and Reynolds.
No, that can't be right.
Surely Walters has kept his spot.
No, Billy will be starting 9.
Surely.
There's a few out, and this is a good opportunity for Titans. Great opportunity for Titans to come up against the big brother.
Yep.
They are not having a great season. We all know that. And there's been some changes made at the club.
Yes. Assistant coach Dimmick.
Jim
walked
Dimmick.
out.
Jim Dimmick. He's now gone. So along with, I think there was another
Head of performance.
high
or something?
performance.
Yeah.
Has moved on. So there's a bit happening at the Titans in the sort of back office or whatever, or in the staff. But they need to get back to doing what they're good at and playing good footy. It's just been a disappointing year. There's no other way of describing the Titans season this far. They're a better football side. They're a much better football side than where they are right now on the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah, look, with the Titans, I think that although, you never see when a bloke lose his job or whatever, but the silver lining, I guess, for the Titans is that maybe take a leaf out of the Cowboys book and just go defence next preseason. I mean, obviously don't write your season off yet, even though I doubt they'll make the 8.
Yep.
But I think preparing for next season, I would honestly be every single session would be around defence.
Yeah.
Because they've got the attack. They've
Yep.
got the attack. They've got guys like Campbell there. Brimo is fantastic.
Yep.
I would literally be focusing all my efforts on making us the best defensive side in the competition.
Yep.
Look at the Cowboys.
Yep.
It changed everything for them. Changed everything for them.
Yeah.
Brizzy Broncos.
And it's not, and it's
sorry.
not. Yeah, no, you're right, mate. It's not just about like making tackles too. It's about building mental toughness and a resilience. You talk to those Cowboys players this year, and they what's been the difference? And
Yep.
they talk about their preseason
Mm.
and like some of the training drills they were put through, some of the conditioning drills that they were put through. It was just they were just relentless and at times monotonous.
Yeah, okay.
But what it did, it built a resilience within their group, and it built a mental toughness to say, hey, listen, when we go through these tough times, hey, we just hang in there and just keep turning up and keep turning up and keep turning up until things change for us, and then we start to, the momentum starts to swing back our way. And it's been the biggest difference. Like even the Broncos, Kempy, that's been a huge part of their season so far is their goal line defense. And the way they're able to scramble for each other and stay in the contest and turn teams away. The last 2 years where they've been, 14th and 15th, that wasn't part of the Broncos game.
No.
It was just get down their end and, a couple of things go against us, try.
Perfect example. Last night, Queensland missed 57 tackles. New South Wales missed 44. And it shows you that, it's not actually all about the tackling, even though you've got to make your tackles. It's about the attitude. It's about the covering for your mate.
That's what defence is.
And
mate.
so, like, Queensland winning 22-12 with that many more missed tackles shows you that they just refuse to give in. They refuse to ever say die in defence.
Yep.
I'm
going Broncos with you.
I'm going Broncos as well. I think the Broncos are in a really healthy spot right now. They look happy. They look confident. They look relatively injury-free. And also, I mean, I feel like at the start of the year, we never would have said this, but they're winning games without Payne Haas. And again, it's not to say we don't need Payne Haas.
Yep.
He's a huge part of the club.
Yep.
But it's a sign of a strong club that can go out without their marquee man, their main guy, and still get the job done.
Winning games without Adam Reynolds too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, look, I'm really proud that I've been fortunate enough to wear the same jerseys, all of those blokes. I think they've been fantastic this year. So, Broncos to get the win.
Yep.
Now, we got some text here. Hey, legends, love the podcast. I'd love to hear both your thoughts on this. The Cowboys' last game of the regular season is against Panthers in Townsville. Could this be a grand final practice run? And on a lighter note, the band Kiss have cancelled their Townsville concert because the Cows could be playing a home final on same date.
Wow.
Look, I tell you what, probably before this Origin series, I would have said the Cowboys, they definitely could finish top four.
Yep.
I just don't know if they have it in them to take that next step to be a premiership threat. But after this Origin series, the confidence they'll get, I think they may at least threaten.
Yep.
At least threaten.
Do they go on? Do they stay in second at least?
Well, we'll talk about your boys. What's going on with your boys? Talk about your boys.
We'll get to them. We'll get to them soon after the next break that we have. But I don't know. Like it may well be. It may well be the preview to the grand final. They're currently first and second. It could even possibly, depending on results with Melbourne and Cronulla, they could possibly finish 1 and 4 and then play each other first week. So they could play each other last round and then play against each other again the following week as a first semi-final.
Yeah. I mean, wow.
Scenarios.
Now, boys, Kempy, Smithy, great show. Question: if the Kangaroos are picked today, who is your spine? Cheers, Richard. Ooh. No, Richard. It's a tough question.
Do we have to go there?
No.
Kempy?
Look, I'm going to just... I'm
going to go Cam Munster 6.
Cam Munster 6. Tedesco at 1. Mate, I tell you what, put it this way. Before last night, I would have said Cleary is a shoo-in for the 7.
Yep.
But after last night watching DCE...
Yep.
I probably still would just go with Cleary and because of like preparing for the future maybe. Mm-hmm. But DCE, I think he's shut a lot of doubters up, including I wasn't a doubter in the sense I'm a huge fan of DCE, but in saying that like he's even to a guy that's already a fan, he even proved that he's got even more in him. It's not a smoky, but honestly, Ben Hunt, I think he's got that 9 jersey on lock for Australia.
Mate, I was just about to say, mate, do you put Ben Hunt at 9?
I think he's locked it in.
Well, he started there every game this series.
Yep. Yep.
And then you take that combination to
Yeah.
the World Cup, Ben Hunt 9, Harry Grant
14.
coming on.
Yeah. I
Off the
honestly think that's probably the direction you go. I really do. It's just,
It's a proven combination.
yep.
And it suits, particularly in these rep games, it suits Harry's style of play.
Mm,
Where he's 100 miles an hour.
yeah.
That's his strength.
Mm.
He gets on, he takes off. When he sees opportunities, he runs.
Yep.
It's good. Like, you have Ben Hunt out there, the first 20, and then Harry, on you go, mate, and just tear him to shreds.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. Just the
It worked for Queensland.
It worked for Queensland, and the twists and turns of Benny Hunt's career. Like, to say that he'd be playing 9 for Australia, like, if I was a betting man, I honestly would back him in to win that 9 jersey.
There you go.
Seriously, I'd really think he might get it, which would just be incredible. Now we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to continue previewing the round and answering your text. So make sure to text in 0457 736 736 or give us a call 1300 01 1170. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Thanks to Holy Schnitz. I tell you what, there would have been a few people yelling "Holy Schnitz" at their TV last night. I tell you what, I mean, it would have been 1,000. I was literally yelling "Holy Schnitz." The room service delivered a couple of schnitties to my room because they were like, they thought I needed a schnitzel. You know what I did? I slapped that schnitzel out of it and I said, I want the real Schnitz. I want the real Schnitz. I don't want this fake Schnitz that you've brought us. But Holy Schnitz sporting moments, Smithy, I've got one.
Yes.
Literally, I was yelling "Holy Schnitz." Matty Bird and Dan Gogo getting a bit of a hiss-hoss,
Yeah.
a bit of a brouhaha, bringing back the old days.
Yep.
Look, absolutely loved it. I'm glad they only got fined. I think that's what Origin's all about. If you're going to step up to each other, you've got to be prepared to throw down.
Yep.
Just look, I'll give you some advice. If you don't want to fight, put your head down, you run back to your wing.
Yes.
That's what I did.
Don't go looking for someone.
Definitely did not. I
Don't
just put
call
my head
anyone
down.
out.
I just ran out to the wing. I said, "Oi, can someone else sort that? Because I don't want to deal with it."
Can someone else sort it for me?
Tons up.
Mate, I'll tell you what, mate. That moment too, every single person in the stand was on their feet,
Incredible.
and like they stood for like
Mm.
several minutes.
Yeah, it was amazing, amazing, and like, obviously, I understand, but it's Origin.
Yep.
This is what it's about. Two teams just going at it, putting everything on the line for their state. I loved it, and I loved how both players after it came back on and ripped straight back in.
Yep.
They ripped. No one
No, they did.
didn't take a backward step. They didn't sook nothing. They came back in, ripped straight back into
Straight
the game.
back into it. No, good nomination. My nomination though goes to Ben Hunt for his what do you call it? Intercept. You go charge down / intercept. Charge down attempt, which ended up being an intercept.
Charge to step. Charge to step.
In a down. But anyway, it was just I don't know how he did it. I've said it before. I don't know how he did it, but he ran 60 metres to score the match-winning try for Queensland last night, and he celebrated. I don't know how he got up and I would have been gassed.
Yeah, he looked like he was
God.
cruising. He got up, fist pump, everything.
That's just adrenaline, I think.
Oh, mate, I would have passed out. Seriously, I nearly passed out watching.
You've run further than that for tries.
Yeah, okay.
What
got me
about
there,
the 4
Smithy.
you scored?
Yeah, you got me. And I did score a 75-metre try debut, but whatever. You got me there, Smithy. I forgot about that one. I forgot about those tries. My bad.
Oh, that's my Holy Schnitz moment, though.
Mate, it was an incredible... I mean, honestly, the whole game should have been brought to you by Schnitz because it was a holy Schnitz of a game.
Yes.
They were all our holy Schnitz sporting moments. Thanks to Schnitz, got that winning taste right now. Schnitz, handcrafted schnitzels, made fresh and made just for you. After the news, we'll continue our round 18 preview. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Now, before we get into the match, the Melbourne Storm will be honouring Cameron Smith this weekend. The Eastern Stand at Amy Park will be officially named in Cam's honour. The Melbourne Storm also confirmed that their Player of the Year award will be named the Cameron Smith Player of the Year award. Oh, that's incredible, mate. Massive congratulations. That is so bloody good,
Thanks,
mate.
bud.
I'm stoked for you. Mate, how does that make you feel?
Oh, mate, super proud. Super proud, yeah. When the club mentioned that to me, that they were looking to. Well, firstly, they mentioned the Player of the Year award, naming that the Cameron Smith Player of the Year award. I was like, wow, that's like awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Like that's a pretty cool thing. And then they said no, and also we're going to name a grandstand at Amy Park. I was like, mate, fair dinkum.
The Cameron Smith
No
stand.
way. I would have been happy with like a urinal or something.
The Cameron Smith urinal. There would have been people flying down from New South Wales every day.
Oh, yeah, no. No, but that's good. I think the club are, I think they're going to name the eastern side. So when you look at when the players from both teams run out on the western side, it's the opposite side to run the cameras.
That's incredible.
Oh, it's pretty cool. Like Billy's got to stand down there right now. Never ever did I think, like, as a little fella, like wanted to play NRL. Never ever did I think that this type of thing would happen. Having an award named after me, having a grandstand, my name on a grandstand, and mate, it's crazy. I've got a statue out the front of Amy Park with Billy, like one of my great mates.
So good
beside him. It's just it's so surreal, but extremely, proud and honoured to have that opportunity, and just extremely grateful for my time at Melbourne and what the club is doing now for myself and my family too. I think it's a great moment for my family. My wife and 3 children. My mum and dad and my brother and sister too, who did so much for me as a little fella. Supported me through my junior footy and got me out to all the games all over the place through Queensland and helped me get to where I am today.
Mate, it's incredible to think, like, imagine your parents are driving you as a little 10-year-old to footy.
Oh, mate.
That this little fella would have a stand named after him.
Crazy.
It's incredible, mate. Incredible.
It's ridiculous, but
mate,
it's good.
No one more deserving. No one more deserving. I'll have to go sink a beer down there. Next time when Bronx plays Storm, I want to get in the Cam Smith stand. Now, Storm versus Raiders. Now, obviously, Melbourne, like, I'll be honest, Smithy, at the start of the year, I watched the trial match and I thought, I don't know if Storm's depth is where it has been in yesteryear.
Yes.
And I also thought there were a few things like off the field that you hadn't really dealt with before, like a few players stepping out of line. Like, you dealt with it, but not at the degree that you dealt with it.
Yep.
Well, do you think, put it this way, there's a part of me, my head, that thinks, I'm a bit concerned about the Storm at the moment. But then there's another part of me goes, but the Storm always prove us wrong. Every time we doubt them, they come back and prove us wrong. Where's your head at with the Storm at the moment?
Yeah, well, a little bit. Particularly when you see those sort of back-to-back losses and quite uncharacteristic of the Storm, I think that's when you get a little bit concerned. I think they still have the squad, they still have the players, and they clearly have the coaching staff there. To right the ship, get them back on track, get their season back on track. They've been hit hard through injury this year.
Absolutely.
Okay, and it's not just to just any old players. It's to key positions. One of the big outs for me still is Christian Welsh.
Mate, absolutely.
That for me that was a huge blow for Melbourne, and I think he had aspirations, or he was pretty keen to get back before the season finished, maybe just before finals.
Okay.
That looks like that's almost no chance now.
Oh, wow.
I caught up with him. I seen him over in Perth. He was doing some stuff over there for QRL, and I seen him again last night. And I think things aren't going as smoothly as they thought they were going to at one stage. So I don't think he'll be back for Melbourne this year. They've had multiple injuries, particularly through their backline, and that's what you're saying. Like, their depth is being tested properly this year. Properly.
It's a silly way to look at it, but every time you look at their team sheet, they've got 2 or 3 players that don't even have pitches.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and then it's a silly way to look at it, but that's how deep you have to go in your depth. Because for fans listening, at the start of the year, the top 30 all get their player profile pitches.
Yep.
So if you don't have a player profile pitcher, you weren't even in the top 30 at the start of the year.
Yeah.
And it shows you. So you've had Christian Welsh, you've had Remus Smith.
Yeah. Who's re-injured him? Himself
too,
again, so now he's out for the year.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Jennings.
Do you think that, like, obviously they'll bounce back, but do you think that they'll reach the same heights as, say, mid-year last year?
Oh, well, I think any season would be hard to top, like, what they did last year. Like, what they win, 19 or 20 in a row?
It's incredible.
They broke, like, just record after record after record last year. Like, point scoring, tries, like the whole lot, like consecutive wins. It was just a remarkable season by the Melbourne Storm. So look, I don't think they'll get anywhere near that this year. Like, they've already had, they had 4 losses already, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. Yep.
3 or 4.
Well, they're sitting at 3rd, so.
Yeah. Well, they've lost their last two, so and they've lost to Parramatta.
And Penrith?
Yeah. So they've lost 4, 5, I think. So already they're behind what they did last year. And yeah, I think it's just it's a different side now. It's a different side.
Yeah.
They've had to throw in a lot of guys that probably they weren't particularly ready to throw in at this point in time. And like you said, like there's things happening down there that are quite unlike Storm. Like they had a few issues in the off season last year. Brandon Smith now going to be missing for 3 games.
Yeah.
With his comments to the referee, within their last game against the Sharks, like that's another big blow for them.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
just like didn't need to happen. And I know like Brandon's come out and he's very remorseful and he apologized to the referee on the night, but it adds more pressure to the footy team and the footy club now with a guy like Brandon Smith not being there in this important part of the year.
What's it like? You're such a huge part of the club, and from what I know of you, you're obviously quite humble. So is it hard, like stepping in and stepping out, like as in going and saying, "Oh, I want to be involved and speak to players," but at the same time going, "Well, no, they're their own men; they can make their." You know what I mean? Is it tough?
I've made a bit of a conscious decision to sort of like step away and let them be their own team.
Yeah.
Like I was a part of it for so long, Kempy. You know what I mean? And I felt from my personal point of view and for the footy club, it was good to, for just to have a bit of space for a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And but I tune in and watch Melbourne Storm game every week, as do all of my family. Like we sit down and watch them. And we're keen Storm people. We love to see the footy team doing well, and we're disappointed. Like we're like normal fans. Like we're disappointed when they lose games.
Yeah.
But like looking on last year, like they did so well. Like they had to find. Like I'm not saying that like did a huge part of what I did down there because I had so many great teammates that I played with and coaches that were a part of what we did collectively. But because I played there so long and in the position I played in, I think it was good just to have a clean break for a little bit and just find the team that they needed to be by themselves without me.
Yeah, let them grow kind of thing.
Absolutely. And they did such a great job last year. Just this year, they're dealing with so many things, particularly with injuries. It's always hard.
Yeah.
It's always hard when you got players in the team, then they're out of the team, and then you're changing combinations all the time. And it hasn't been an ideal season for them.
Yeah.
But they're still in the top 4,
I know.
which shows like
the standard that we have on them is.
That's right. Yeah. I think like everyone that follows rugby league just think, well, why didn't they win?
Yeah.
Why aren't they sitting on top or top 2 or whatever? But they're still in the top 4. Like, you got to remember that with all the challenges that they've had and the setbacks they've had, they still find themselves in the best 4, teams in the competition.
It's so true. We have just such a high standard for the Storm.
Yeah.
This is 20 years. We've been going 20 years, and we're still going. They should be top 2.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a great insight, mate. Great insight. Thank you. Now to the Raiders. Queensland prop Josh Papali'i has been named and we monitored, while Jack Whiten will start. Charles Nicoll-Klukstad is out and replaced by James Schiller. The Raiders, do you think that they can squeeze in the 8? They seem to go on a bit of a run there.
Well, they had like a period of 5 or 6 weeks where they were
going good.
They were going really good.
Yeah.
And you're thinking like they're back. They're back to what we know Canberra are all about, and they're playing that tough, grindy footy. And then they've dropped a couple. Controversially, maybe last week. Oh, not so controversially. The last play.
The great Benny Hunt.
That started the whole debate about the 6 to go and the rules and scrap it, keep it. What are we doing?
Been a big couple of weeks for Benny.
Ben Hunt just knew the rules,
mate.
And he knew what he could do.
He nailed it. I tell you what, I'd be lying on that ruck as long as I could if I was for my team.
So they quite possibly could have had a win against the Dragons, but this is going to be a big match. They seem to go down and play well, Canberra, at Amy Park in Melbourne. They love going down there and getting up, and Sticky will have their eyes spinning in their head.
He loves it.
Well, he and Craig Bellamy are great mates.
And you always want to beat your mate.
Yes.
That's literally the main guy you want to beat.
You always want one up.
I'm
going Storm.
Storm. West Tigers versus Penny Panthers. Now, I spoke about it a bit earlier. Most of the Penny Panthers players are out, as in the Origin players. But I think that the Penny Panther playing group are going to see Nathan Cleary hurting, see the fact that, he's a leader in the New South Wales team. You've got Critter, you've got Luai, you've got Martin, Yo, Appy. And I think the Panthers boys are going to lift big for their brothers out there.
Yeah, I think so. And this is a big test for West Tigers. A couple of changes in their lineup. Adam Dewey to 5'8", Kempy.
I like it, but I don't like something else that's happened in that half combination.
That's Jackson Hastings going to 13.
Because is that the long... Like, even if Hastings kills it, let's say he goes out, has the game of his life, is that the long-term plan? Is that what you're going to do for the next 3 or 4 years? Can his body even handle that? He's
Don't
a
know.
half.
Don't know.
13s are making 30 to 40 tackles a game. He might have a great month of rugby league, but what about 2 months, 3 months? What about 2 seasons? It's a different ballpark in the middle there. I don't understand.
Fair point.
Yeah, so I don't understand that move of... I personally think the
strongest combination?
Well, the Tigers should be looking to the future. They should be going, okay, who is our 6 and 7 for the next 5 years?
Okay.
Is it Hastings and Dewey? Boom, they're our 6 and 7. Because I don't know, like Brooks seems like he's on his way out. He seems like he wants to go. Again, I don't know for sure, but it seems like it.
Yep.
So why not get that plan in now?
Yep. Get that rolling now.
Get the combinations going. Look at the Bulldogs. They finally had some time together with Burton Flanagan, and Burton all of a sudden exploded because he got some time to play with that partner.
Yep.
I just don't understand it. But anyway, how do you see this game playing out?
This will be a good game. I feel, but I think Penrith will be too strong.
Penny Panthers to get the win,
even with all their Origin stars out.
Oh, I think so too, and I think that the Penrith Panthers. You thought they were scary before Origin. I actually think they're going to be almost, if they don't make the grand final, I'll be shocked because Nathan Cleary, he's a champion, absolute champion. He's going to bounce back.
Yep.
He's going to play some outstanding footy. Luai as well. So keep an eye on those Penny Panthers. We might see some of the best footy we've seen in quite a while. We're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to continue previewing the round. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. We've got some text here. Smithy, good morning, assistant and assistant's assistant.
That's good.
I just want to know, how did Cam Smith dig in deep last night, or was he in bed before midnight? To me, he sounds way too fresh for a first-time Origin coaching staff winner. Maybe needs some bloke beers for after today's show.
No, I was tucked in bed really early last night.
Oh, yeah,
really early.
Yeah.
I was being responsible. I'm a coach now, Kempy.
Oh, give me
just
a
making
break.
sure that all the players were just behaving themselves, and I just, hey boys, like follow my lead.
I will not allow this, Smithy. I will not allow this nonsense. Cam Smith is known to be one of the all-time backer-uppers.
No,
he's known.
No,
his
there was a couple
mental
of
fortitude is second to none.
There was a couple of quiet beers enjoyed in the sheds after the game.
Yep.
We may have been asked to leave the ground by the stadium manager. And then we moved on quietly.
Quietly, yeah, I'm sure.
Back to the hotel.
One of your best, Smithy. One of your best, mate.
Great show.
Mate. Thank
Great
you
show,
so
Kevin.
much, Smithy, for giving us this incredible insight. The Captain's Run, done and dusted. Subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.